I'd like to welcome our experts panel for this week. Mayor Javed Anfar, Iran lecturer at the IDC in Herzliya, and Behnam bin Taleblous, a senior analyst at the Foundation for Defense of Democracies in Washington, D.C. Thank you both, gentlemen, for joining me. Behnam, we'll start with you. What exactly Iran is trying to achieve currently?
Iran is playing a very highly calculated game of chicken. Not just by testing more satellite launch vehicles that give it a long-range strike capability, not just by resuming enrichment to 20% purity at the underground military nuclear site of Fordo, but also, of course, as you mentioned, by phasing in more advanced centrifuges, permitting it to enrich more uranium to a greater purity at lesser time and with less space. So this is all designed to get the new Biden administration to balk, to upend its predecessor's Iran policy, and to give premature sanctions relief to get Tehran to come into compliance with a deal that was already heavily, fatally flawed and already into its benefit.
So, Mayor, we've heard the Iranians constantly in the past few months saying that they will only go to the original JCPOA and would not let any changes put into that. Further to that, the Iranians demand compensation for all their losses. So, is there a chance for that?
First of all, thank you for inviting me, and great to be with Behnam again. Look, I think, first of all, the question of compensation, I think that's not going to happen. In terms of where the United States is going to go, well, it's a huge guessing game right now. It seems that actually the United States does want to go back to the JCPOA as it was. First do that, and then go and negotiate other issues such as Iran's presence in the region and its missile program. Then the argument is raised. Well, if you remove the sanctions, you have no leverage. But we haven't heard anything from the American side, from the Biden administration on that front. But for now, it seems that the Iranians believe that they are that this is what they deserve, and I think they are increasing enrichment. They're taking the recent steps for two reasons. Number one, to strengthen their negotiation hand. And number two, to make the issue more urgent, because look, if you read the New York Times and the Financial Times, Biden's top issue is not Iran, it's COVID, and it's also China. There are whole new issues about China and its relationship with its neighbors, which is raising a lot of tensions. And the Iranians are most probably worried that, hey, there's only so much oxygen in the room when Biden makes decisions. So, he has other crises, so we have to push up Iran in terms of the importance.
Yes, but Mayor, let's look at the situation. The new Secretary of State has stated this week that Iran is weeks away, allegedly 3 months, 12 weeks away from a possible breakout. And do you hear the same things from Tehran?
Right now, I think Iran is first and foremost, its goal is to look strong, but through strength, find a way out of the current sanctions impasse.
Okay, Behnam, back to you. We see the Iranians, as you said, playing chicken with the Biden administration. What do you hear in Washington? Because we see the people that Biden has appointed vis-a-vis the Iranian case. They were all, in one way or another, involved in the previous Iranian case under the Obama administration.
There's a saying in Washington, personnel is policy. And as you correctly note, many of the current Biden staff, particularly those that deal with Iran, did serve in one way or another under the first Obama or second Obama administration. And that means they had a hand in Iran policy. And more importantly, that means they had a hand in crafting the deal that is literally expiring before our eyes. I mean, October 2020, last October, the multilateral arms embargo expired on Iran at the UN level. In October 2023, for instance, prohibitions on Iranian ballistic missile testing lapse. Iran can formally bring in more advanced centrifuges. And of course, worst of all, the European Union is going to delist the motherlode of Iran's nuclear, missile, and military persons, businesses, and entities in its own territory. So the deal is expiring, and going back to such an accord, if that is what the newly constituted Biden team would want, in my view, would be not just a disservice to their new and nascent Iran policy, it would be a disservice to just global nonproliferation in general. It would fall short of what they want to do, because the Middle East of 2020 and 2021 is not at all the Middle East of 2015-16. And if it's that approach they are taking, then they're unfortunately going to be setting themselves up to fail. I think something else is going to be happening, though. I think they may be more animated, not just by what Meir is talking about, which is the building up of leverage in Iran and the breakout time that Secretary Blinken is talking about, but they seem consumed also when you look at new statements about the upcoming Iranian presidential election. And while I agree an ultra-hardliner in power in Tehran at the presidential level will make things harder, it doesn't change the fundamental facts of how Iran negotiates. And in that regard, it's important for the new administration to be cognizant of the electoral dynamics,
but Behnam,
not to be consumed by the electoral
dynamics. But how far Tehran, the Ayatollah is ready to go to push the current administration to the corner? I mean, because there are stages that were not taken yet. For example, sending the ICA people out, not letting them do their inspections, etc., etc. Those steps were not taken, obviously not leaving the NPT. Do you see Iran taking such steps and pushing the world maybe to the end, to the corner?
I see Iran continuing to play this game of chicken. I mean, with the IEA, I don't see them formally expelling every inspector. I see them gradually eroding the scale, scope, and access that every inspector has inside Iran. The same with the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty, the NPT. They're not going to formally leave it tomorrow, but they will continue to do death by 1,000 cuts to their compliance and adherence to this cornerstone of international non-proliferation policy. That really is Khamenei's method, to make the aggregate violations so painful that you are forced, because you are more responsible and you are less risk tolerant than he is, to address his program and his violations and his needs. It's, again, a calculated game of chicken.
Yes. Meir, back to you. If you were to advise the Israeli government what to do, we've heard the Chief of Staff, Aviv Kochavi, giving his two no's speech a week ago, no to the original JCPOA and no to a new agreement with Iran. What would you advise Benjamin Netanyahu to do, or the Israeli government?
I don't think Netanyahu would listen to people like me. He didn't listen the last time when in the press we were climbing the walls when he went to speak at the Congress. And look, I really, there's two things to remember, Yoav. First and foremost, we don't want a nuclear Iran. But at the same time, we don't want to damage our relations with our greatest ally, the United States, in the process, which is what happened the last time. Let's do lessons learned. Really, let's do lessons learned here that, we're going to have differences of opinion with the United States. Two friends have different differences of opinion. Two family members have differences of opinion. But we're going to have to be a lot more careful and more diplomatic about how we manage our differences of opinion with the United States. Let me tell you and your viewers clearly on camera that one of the issues that the Iranian regime is hoping to achieve, is the bigger divisions between Israel and the United States. This is what they're hoping. This is their goal. And when we go around and we do things such as, adopting a megaphone strategy of every time there's a difference, going behind the cameras and going to the newspapers and complaining, and this really hurts our relations with America. Of course, we have a right not to want the Iranian regime to have a nuclear weapon, but we're going to have to be, hopefully, the next administration, hopefully, is going to, I'm hoping they're going to address this issue differently. But to be honest with you, Yoav, is Netanyahu re-elected? I'm not holding much hope.
One more question, Meir. Behnam has mentioned the upcoming elections in Iran as well. Who do you see having the upper hand? The hardliners, maybe the moderates? What's going to be in, what do you assess?
Well, it's going to be in June, and we are in February. It's a very long way away. But I think most probably it's going to be hardliners. But also, the president only has a limited say over the nuclear program. What gave Rouhani leverage was the sanctions. But once you're in office, doesn't mean the Supreme Leader will listen to you. Ahmadinejad in his second term wanted, within a year, 2 years after he was supposedly re-elected, in 2011, he was pressuring Khamenei to stop enrichment at 20%, but Khamenei didn't listen to him. So, it comes with a caveat of how important the position of president is.
So, Behnam, back to you. Final question. The Israelis say that since 2015, the original JCPOA, the whole studied a great lesson about Iran, given the archive that was stolen from Tehran and what was found in there, and many violations that they have done, not vis-a-vis the JCPOA, but in other fronts, you know, missiles, terrorism, etc., etc. That's something that will be taken into the consideration while negotiating with the Iranians from now on?
I would certainly hope so. And if any negotiator, whether it's the EU, the rest of the P5, or even the newly formed Biden negotiating team, if they don't take those other issues into consideration at the systemic level, threats to the global non-proliferation regime, and the UN level, Iran's violation of Annex B of Resolution 2231, and then, of course, of Iran's myriad violations of the JCPOA, the political agreements, it'll be impossible to actually achieve through diplomacy what they're seeking. So the series of concepts have to be broadened, and that's exactly why the Iranians keep trying to narrow the discussion, keep it tailored and limited to the nuclear issue. And Washington is going to have to push very hard to broaden this scope and address the full spectrum, the breadth and the depth of the Iran threat.
Yes. Behnam bin Taleblu in Washington, Mayor Javed Anfar in Herzliya. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining me today.